Man City have lost 2-1 away from home to Bournemouth. Huge in the Premier League title race. It gives Liverpool a massive advantage, a 2-point advantage. I know it's early, but it now gives a little bit of daylight between Liverpool and Man City. And of course, Arsenal, who I think it actually is a massive result for Arsenal because it means a disappointing result against Newcastle United is kind of rectified a little bit. And it keeps them in a similar pace to Manchester City. We're going to break down what went wrong, all the goals, and obviously the next few fixtures for City. I have to be completely real. It's one of the worst performances I've seen from City for about the 80% of the game in a good few years. Now, obviously, there are major injuries. Obviously, Rodri is obviously the big one. Savinho not really fit to play. Kyle Walker didn't look fit when he was playing. Ruben Diaz, John Stones. You have to talk about the injuries because it's over 13 major injuries to City so far, including the best player in the world. So that has to be context. But you look at a back four of Gvardiol, Walker, Akanji, Ederson, Ake, Kovacic ahead of them with Bernardo Silva, etc. with Haaland up front. It has to be better. It has to be better. Even if there's one or two substitutions you can make before you start getting into the kids, the performance was really flat. No shots on target until the 80th minute. And then a little bit after that, obviously, Gvardiol scores a beautiful header. Slight dips in concentration, slight dips, dare I say it, in desire. And you can never question the City side for the last 5 years. Never. Because it's the most successful English side of a generation. But there were moments today where you felt that Bournemouth wanted it a little bit more. I have to just say that as a fact. The big one is, obviously, Semenyo scores 9 minutes in. Phil Foden has to be doing better. I think it's the left-back, Kerkez, who's unbelievable all game. He was unbelievable. I've never really heard about him. I'll be completely real. He was electric, so quick. And defensively very strong as well. Limited Phil Foden massively, who's coming off the right today. Bernardo Silva as well. And he gets around his man. He gets around Phil Foden. Phil Foden, I think, a little bit wary of trying to cause a penalty and a free kick. I get that. But a lack of desire. Didn't match him for pace. Didn't cover the area at all. And allows that ball to get fired across the face of the box. Semenyo takes it and turns on the half turn. It's an unbelievable touch. It's an unbelievable finish. And Semenyo's in fine form across the season. And this Bournemouth side, look, this isn't about excuses. This Bournemouth side are more than just a plucky kind of underdog trying to nick a result. They are progressive. The way they carry the ball is fantastic. The way they move it, they are fantastic through and through. And it's so interesting because you think Areola comes in from Spain. They're going to bring in these kind of Spanish midfielders to be a little bit more exotic, dare I say. The base of their midfield today was Ryan Christie and Cook, who should have been sent off for a challenge on Haaland, but we'll talk about that later. That base of midfield is what, an English midfield or a British midfield? It's unbelievable. He's coaching the guys that were successful years ago, even in lower league football with Eddie Howe, to a very good level. Areola is a top level coach. He really is. And throughout the whole side, Bournemouth matched City for energy, for desire, for pace. And it was a fantastic result for Bournemouth. They were fantastic and they thoroughly deserved it. Semenyo, the touch was fantastic. After that, you are looking for City to do a little bit more. It felt a little bit side to side. Obviously, Savinho's injured. He was on the bench, but a little bit wary of his ankle from the Spurs result. So you've got this kind of flat line of Foden, Nunes, Gundogan, Bernardo Silva, and Kovacic. It's 4-5-1, and it's not dynamic. It's a flat line at points. It becomes side to side. And when you score early against City without real ingenuity of a world-class level, I don't think Ilkay Gundogan's arrived on massively big form at the moment. We're waiting for that. Bernardo Silva as well. Despite all the talent I've just said in terms of 4 playmakers, if you include Kovacic, 5 ball-playing playmakers in midfield, and they couldn't pass through the lines. Again, that goes down to the 5 in midfield, especially when Kluivert would tuck in as well. That would nullify the City threat, but it felt side to side. It felt unambitious. It felt like, again, this City side having to look at shooting from range, getting Akanji to shoot from range, getting Kyle Walker whipping things in from range. It never works. And Haaland didn't do anything, again, all game. But it's not his fault. He's limited by the distribution of the 5 behind him. Very frustrating. Back-to-back losses. The League Cup, I'm not going to sit here and say any City fan can be too depressed about the League Cup. But League Cup, Spurs. Then you go Bournemouth away. Then you go Brighton in the league next. Then you go Spurs again, which can always be an issue because it's the biggest game of their season every year. And then suddenly you're thinking, this could not be massive for Arsenal because Arsenal just don't have the points to really surpass City at the moment based on the points they're dropping. Who knows, that could change. But it's massive for Liverpool. Liverpool are able to build up a massive amount of steam early in the season. They could just end up gliding towards a Premier League title if City don't shape up. City really have to wake up because there is a Premier League title to fight for. With the international break, you'll wake up, it'll be December, January. That 2 points behind Liverpool could easily become 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. One of those. Have to talk about the Evan and Nilsson goal. It's a beautiful cross. God, I want to say it's Kerkez again, or Tavernier, or Christie. It's one of the three on the left side. I've forgotten who crossed it in, but the ball in was unbelievable. And Evan Nilsson just taps it in. It's a beautiful strike. He's come into some real fine form since coming in. The most expensive transfer in Bournemouth history, and that can always go wrong. You think of the Brazilian lad Alvarez that went to Middlesbrough and a few others. You just think when a small club go big with one big name, it can always go wrong. And it can actually, if you get it wrong, can cause you major issues in terms of even staying in the league. And Bournemouth have not put a step wrong, even since sacking Gary O'Neill, despite the fact I didn't believe that was the right thing to do or the fair thing to do. They've now kicked on. And you look at where Gary O'Neill is with Wolves, for example. Maybe it was a kind of insight I wasn't quite privy to, because these guys have kicked on since that Gary O'Neill survival season. They play beautiful football, and City have to wake up. I think there's one issue that I would have had about the lineup. It would have been Jeremy Doku to come in. You have to play Nunes. He's in some great form. Phil Foden, maybe Ilkay Gundogan doesn't need to start that game, or Bernardo Silva. They look a little bit leggy. There's a few players in the City side that look a little bit leggy. And obviously a lot of them played international football in the Euros as well. But it is a little bit concerning. The lack of pace, the lack of directness. Arsenal found it against Newcastle today. Very similar performance, weirdly. Even though I think City are far more ambitious, show a lot more heart in this result than Arsenal did against Newcastle. Very similar performances, very flat. I keep calling Arsenal stiff because I think they are a stiff side. This Man City performance was very, very stiff, very uncharacteristically nervous as well. We have to talk about the Gvardiol goal because this guy's scoring so many goals since the turn of the year. The back end of last season, he's picking up huge goals. Goals against Real Madrid, goals against Fulham, goals against Liverpool. And the goal against Bournemouth was a beautiful, beautiful header. It was out of this world. I thought it was, when I saw it, I thought Haaland scored it. I thought he scored. It was a Haaland finish. It was an unbelievable header. I can't believe how good he is in the box and scoring big goals from outside the box as well. Never seen anything like it, really, for a big guy as well. So yeah, Bournemouth have beaten City 2-1. It's not the end of the world, but Brighton is a tricky game for City in this current form without certain players. We don't know when Ruben Diaz is back, when John Stones is back. Spurs is another one as well coming up after that. And Champions League football. So it's going to be very interesting. Let me know what you think in the comments down below. If you've made it this far, make sure you subscribe to the channel. And I'll see you very, very soon.